guess. You're gonna have to use your imagination. No children on the field. And I put us here where we can see lots of colored lines, so that we can get a feel for what all that's about. And then I'll have some props in a minute. You'll have to use your imagination a little bit because we're in lots of places. This is just one site. All right. Okay. So yeah, quickly about space where we are. You saw our one ministry van coming in. Cornerstone School is that way. They kind of share a building with Woodlawn Methodist Church, which is right there. You parked in their lot, which is allowed, so that's all good. And this has become our primary field over the years. Just quickly, our soccer field goals. You see we have different size goals for different age groups of kids, and maybe we use them practicing with all ages. Blue lines are the full field. It's a small full field, smallest it can be regulation, but we got it. Okay, so that's the large goals are in place where they would be for that. Then I have a slightly smaller field with smaller goals. That's the U12 age group. And when I do U10 intramural games, that's what these yellow lines are. So whatever. And then out there, you'll see the smaller goals. Those are the U8. That's the U8 field set up. On a normal season, I'd have 2 of those, but we don't need 2 this year. There's lots of people not back from COVID. So anyway, that's this space, storage shed. Usually we have a restroom, I forgot to tell y'all, I think, that there was no restroom here, but you wouldn't have liked the one that we would have had anyway, so. All right, so usually we have one over there in the corner. So that's the space. Remind me how much time we have here?
Oh, you know what? We just want to allow some time at the end, but you have till 11 to talk, and then save some time after 11 for questions.
All right, great. So, the best way is to learn by doing. So I got our ton of cleats here, and Kevin and Nat can be team. No, I'm just kidding.
We didn't have a scrimmage.
Yeah. I can give you a feel for what a NorthStar practice would be like. No, actually, what we're going to do is, and afterwards, after your question, there's jerseys here, pictures. I have some of my coaching books. These are a lot for me, but I'm trying to get information out to coaches through it. But anyway, I'll let them get those out. And this is my aid so that I can try to stay on topic. And also so I can help you with the visualization. So when you get this, on your right side are a bunch of handouts. Be careful taking them out, because if you let go of them, they'll blow away in the wind. But these are, in place of having a child here for you to meet, I have a little intro to them with their pictures. All right, so we're going to start with Matt Dale. And so you can see, you can read, but he started with us when he was a U8 using the small goals. And this is him in Briarwood Holiday Camp. So as we go, I'm going to mention many of our different partners, and Briarwood Soccer is definitely one of them. So every year, well, not this year, but every year before this, we've had kids in the holiday camp in December. Sometimes we're able to get kids in their summer soccer camp also. So there he is. That's my son right there. They're the same age, Matt and Jeffrey. There he is. So and during those days, say on here, I forgot to put the year on here, but this was Birmingham Southern student who was one of us. He recruited some buddies, and they kind of team coach. One couldn't be there, the other was there, that kind of thing. And they worked with this group of boys, give or take a few, for 4 years, and got them through U10. On the other side, you can see them after they won first place in their division in the Hoover Habit tournament that year. Played Kevin's son in the spring of that year, also around that same time. Anyway, here they are. This is something we did a lot of in the past, and I'm trying to. It's gotten more confusing now that we're on multiple fields and stuff. But we would have season-ending parties out on the field and have a parents versus kids game. That's about to be set up. You can see the van that's there is there back then. When would that have been? Like 2000. Oh, it says right here. Anyway, we've had it a while. This green van I've had since 1999, and it was going great till it got stolen, which is a few years back, which is why I'm trying to get another one. Here those 3 of the 4 boys are. These some girls that came behind them. They were a year behind, moved over. This is showing at that time, as our players advanced, we would get them over to the top players over to Homewood because they're the closest to us, and we didn't have enough players to form a team, at these higher levels that would really work for them. So that was our solution in those days. We've changed that recently. We've pushed that up as far as when that age is, but here he is as a team volunteer helping out. Here he is just last fall, and he's now a student at Birmingham Southern College on the soccer team. So we're pretty excited about that. So that's Matt. Frederica is the next person I want you to meet. And here she is. This is U10, U11, NorthStar team. This is that field over by, there's a field next to Legion Field Stadium. There's the stadium in the background. In those days, that was our only field in those days. And we practiced, played games there. Over the years, they don't have as many outside users. They haven't put as much money in it. It's deteriorating. And we have this field, and we've been able, I'll talk about that in a few minutes, but we've been able to improve this field. When we first got here, it was rough. Little holes in it and all kinds of things. Now it's pretty good. Small for soccer, it's not a complex, it's just a field, but it's pretty good shape. So now we play our games here. But back then it was over there. Fun story about Frederica here. So she was a top player on this little team she was on, NorthStar team. This year, we formed, it was like 2015 or 16. We formed our first ever competitive level team. And this guy right here, Raymond Butler, was the coach. And he coached a Briarwood team at the same time, same age group. And so he would practice them 2 days a week. He'd practice our team, 2 days a week he'd practice theirs. It was a NorthStar team, but it was officially registered through Briarwood so that we could share players between the teams. And we did, and here you can barely see him, but in the background there is the head of one of their boys. Their team was in the same tournament, but they had extra players and we didn't. And so we got him on as our goalkeeper. And then we beat Briarwood. And took first place in that tournament, and that was a lot of fun. And Frederica wanted 2 girls on that team and was one of the top players. Here she is with her middle school team a little bit later. 2 NorthStar girls that were a little bit older and played on another team in and out as we had space for them. But anyway, they together brought home the trophy for their school. That was fun. Here she is. This is 2018, the last year she was able to play on a NorthStar team. Not around that time, not long after she got trained as a referee, there she is, and just happened to be assigned to a NorthStar game. So got a little boy down there. And I'm just always excited about this girl. Here she is on her team from last fall. I don't know how many of you know soccer stuff and how many don't, but there was a new program called, a new club that was from 2 clubs that kind of combined forces to make all this stuff happens in soccer stuff. But Hoover and Vestavia decided to join together for their top level teams. and so they send their they both send their top players to this new club, and it's only a year old now, and it's probably going to be the top team in the cities, I bet. But anyway, it's one of the two. It was one of the two this last fall. Anyway, she tried out for that team, their team, and made it. And that's a team that, so there's rec league, which is where most of our teams usually are, except for this was state league, which is where this team was playing. And then there's beyond that, teams that play their games in regional leagues, because they would probably not have enough competition in state league. Well, she's on. That's the team she's on, and they have they have big announcements. They have big stuff going. They have former coach of UAB, Mike Getman, is the director. So they're getting all kinds of attention. And they're adding another level, a higher level team, and she'll be trying for that. She was not just on the team; she was key player. Mike Getman. I asked him how it was going. He said she controls her side of the field. She's a defender, so that's very exciting. And then, but even more, that's fantastic for her. And then she's a wonderfully sweet girl, and I have her back this spring. She doesn't play on she doesn't really have much of a high school team to play on. She doesn't play on it. I helped her to get into some training, and then I have her helping me doing some coaching with little kids. So very excited about that and about her. Let's see. Let me make sure I'm not talking too long. And this next, you'll meet Janiyah Mitchell. Oh, I'm doing just fine. Okay, so this girl, here she is. I think that's like U8, U9. So she's like Frederica just a few years back. Frederica's 05 birth year. Everyone's a birth year. And Janiyah is 08. And here she was. She started as young as could be with us. She's also was a student at Princeton like Frederica. And we used to and will again have van service from the after school and have lots of kids from Princeton coming. It's only a few minutes down to Legion Field. There she is. She got started. Here she is. We used to do our intramural soccer, our U8. We'd take them over to Homewood and play Saturday games there because we'd have like one, maybe two teams. Now we do have 4 to 6 teams, and we do it here internally. But that's her back in those days. Here she is, a little bit older. Here she is in a group of what was then called Academy Girls. They were on a little field trip to watch Sanford. Sanford soccer. We had an intern who was a soccer player that season. So that was, we'd go out and watch her. One of my funnest pictures because I worked with these girls directly. I coached most of the girls. I coached these girls through this tournament and through Academy, what we called Academy at that time. And 5 out of these 7 of these girls pictured here are on my U14 team now. So that's very exciting to me. There's just 2 other teams she's been on. I got a little bit of right about them. I won't talk about that. This is last fall. I'm going to talk about this team in a minute. So there she is. She's the one with the pink face mask there. Janiyah. Oh, last thing about Janiyah is, so she aspires. She's a really solid player. She's U13 age, playing on the U14 team. That's not a problem. And she aspires she would like to play in college. Don't know if that'll happen, but I do know the next steps we need for her. So this summer I'll have her training with Frederica, and then we're gonna have her. I think we'll be able to have a state league level girls team this fall, which will up the level for her. And the goal will be to train her and maybe 2 other girls her age throughout the year to try out where Frederica is a year from now. I don't know if she'll make it, but she won't unless we do that, unless we try. So that's her. The next one, and this next girl ties into this location, which is fun. This girl is just a year older than Janaya, and they're on the same team right now. Gabby, top picture is right here where we are. So let's see, spring of 2015. I actually wrote the date on here, so we won't have to remember. All right, so this was this field. You can't really see it, but how rough it actually was. But this is this field, and this was before we'd done anything, a series of clinics just introducing Cornerstone kids to soccer. Also gave us a little delay before we had to really do everything, but give them something. So yeah, we're coming. All right, so, but here she is, right here in the middle, right from the beginning. Here she is, UA East Butterflies, playing their games down at Legion Field. Here she is, maybe a couple years later. She's on the Houston Academy by then. This is a few of our girls from that group mixed in with some Bravo girls. We had a little thing where we went down, just mixed up players, played soccer, and had fun. We do that. I have other pictures sort of like that happen here and there. But here she is, showing her stuff. U11 team game. This was, Janai was also on the team. This was a team. This was our first. Oh, that was on the picture. Jania's picture I said I'd come back to. That picture on the second page was this all-girls team. The first competitive level all-girls team that we ever had. She was on it, and a very important part of it. One of the things we struggle with in all of this is, and this is kind of an important detail, is having to have teams that are multi-age. So we had like 3 girls that were 2006. I didn't want to not have them. We wouldn't have enough girls for a team without them. So we had Gabby is at 2007, so a year younger than everyone should be facing. We had Janaya 2 years younger, and lots of girls in that range. Only 3 that were the right age. Well, I wouldn't do that exactly again unless they were all superstars. So that was a little rough. That was a little bit of a learning thing, and some of them, and there were some coaching issues, and some of them, I lost some of them after that. Janaya took a break for a year and came back, but it wasn't bad. There was but here's Gabby after that, about a year later, and I like this picture showing our sponsor sign, which used to hang right there. We'll get a new one for the fall. Wasn't worth it for this year. And then here she is that same season. This was fall 2019 on a team that took second place in the tournament. She was off. This girl was off the COVID break in the fall, as was almost everybody, and rejoined us. She didn't even rejoin that tournament team that I was on. But she's back with us now on the U14 girls team, and it's great. So she, pause for a minute, Cornerstone partnership. Gabby there's lots of Cornerstone kids with us, from 40 to 50 per season right now. Oh, not right now, but before the pandemic. And it's a great partnership, working with those kids, knowing that they're already getting spiritual input, and we are, instead of just wondering if we are it, we are additional and supplementing that, and then providing them an opportunity, and then providing Cornerstone with some kids come along. So recently, a couple of years ago, they had their first ever school soccer team. Wasn't solely NorthStar former NorthStar players on it, but there were definitely former NorthStar players on it, and they will have more to support that as they go. All right, so next page, I'm going to go ahead and fill out all 3 of these. So then we add this field, and we're practicing on 2 locations. We call it NorthStar East, NorthStar West. Games are over on the west side. Over time, I started improving this field, and we shift that. Games are on this side. Covered that, but still NorthStar East, NorthStar West. Then in, there we go, 2017, we added a third location, which is Hemp Hill Elementary School. We did that for a few reasons. One, they have a field. Most of the schools don't have a full field. They have a field. Two, it's been my concern for a long time. Great, we have all these kids. Are we reaching the hardest to reach? Because that's a key part of our mission. So at Hemp Hill, we were able to do it right after school. And I don't know if you know where that is, but it's right in the middle of the West End community. So we're reaching kids. It's only a mile from Legion Field site, but the kids we were getting all these kids who we hadn't seen before because they weren't going to get over to that field in the evening. So we have it right after school, and we got them. Here's Sarah, who was with us for at least 3 years, Sanford student who became an intern, which was wonderful. She was wonderful. I'm trying to find another one of them. We get volunteers, but girls like this are hard to find and wonderful when we have them. This is Hayden, who he was at this time a Birmingham Southern student. So she's working with U8 kids this is at Hemp Hill right now. And I believe that was the first year we did it. This is Hayden. He's working with U10 players, all from Hemp Hill School. Hayden, at this time, was a Birmingham Southern student. He graduated, got a job in town, and is still volunteering with us. So he's great. Then I want to tell you about some of the boys here. So first off, this is U10 team, bunch of kids that have never played soccer before, and we're in the rec league playing teams all around, and it's not good. We're not ready for that. Surprisingly, the little girls team I had actually did okay. I can't explain that, but they did. But these guys were getting clobbered. So that was a problem. We needed to not do that. Then at the same time, we got 3 locations, more teams. Oh, so we've already moved our U6, U8 to internal. We have our own intramural program. Well, now we have barely enough, but enough U10 age group teams to do it here also. And so this will be easier adjustment because A, we'll have people from all teams that are new. B, I can move people around. I can throw in somebody if I need to. I can make teams even. I can do whatever I want to do. I won't say no one is bothered by it, but most people were like, hey, just give me a good game. All right, so that's what we do. And that's working great for the kids. And when we get back to having Hemp Hill in the fall, I hope, then we'll be back to, we have U10 intramural this year, but we've got 2 teams. So not ideal. Anyway, so a part of that, we got, there's 2 boys here that are twins. Here's one of them from that. Actually, that was the next season when we moved to intramural, because that's on this field. And these 2 boys went to Hemp Hill School and lived with Grandma, just in a little house down the West End. And about a year or so after, I think it was the 2nd year, they had moved out of state. And I thought, well, I don't know what's going to happen, but they're gone. But then this boy, this is Roderick, he and his dad lived at that time across the street from them at his grandmother's house. Dad now moved and lives in a little house, actually only a block from me, over near Legion Field. And but Grandma still lives there, so they're over there a lot. So January, before this season started, talking to Roderick, oh, the twins have moved back. Oh, let's get them back. So, and they would be an example of kids that really need what we're doing, certainly from the athletic opportunity, but life development as well. We got them back for the amount of soccer they had. It's amazing what they pick up and how good they are. It has its challenges, but again, hardest to reach kids. Thanks to his dad, sometimes I have a van getting them for practice. But his dad gets them for games. So you find a guy like that and you grab onto him and give a little extra for kids, and he's willing, and it's wonderful. Here is right. So that's just pausing to talk about kind of how it works to try to impact these kids who really who wouldn't be playing soccer otherwise, might not be playing anything, and definitely need the more than soccer that we are bringing for them. Here is Hayden with the team. This is after the Twins have moved. Roderick and one other boy from Hemp Hill. But this picture in here is showing kind of how we were able to get them started there, and some of them we were able to pull up into a team that that plays on the regional level, that plays in the rec league on the regional level, and combines players from our different locations. Most of these are from Tuggle School, which is right by League Field, right, our zone. So it's close, and they would end up at we have soccer going at Tuggle kids at Legion Field. We have Hemp Hill going, and in a few years, Parker High School. They're both feeders for Parker High School. In a few years, they should have plenty of experience. Soccer players coming up. Anyway, here's Roderick last fall. He's on the track with Rodrika, Janaya, Gabby. I've got him into the program the state has for training players and identifying top-level players. He found out he's not as far along as he thought, but was part of the plan. But it's good exposure, good training for him. Here's me just with a U18 2019. So that's that. And then the next one, so Hemp Hill School is a partner. That experience has led us to what I'm planning for next year, which ties into these portable goals. There's an example of the portable goal that's on our grant proposal. And we would use these at these different sixth grade, at these different middle schools where we are working with the city and also with Cornerstone to develop an in-school league. Again, being able to reach kids, do it right after school, to reach kids. Not as young as I'd ideally like, starting with soccer, but what the school system has identified as their biggest need, not having hardly any athletic program for sixth graders. So I said, sure. So we're trying. I have other grant requests going out and trying to raise the funding to be able to do that, to be able to actually hire coaches for that, because it's going to be a lot. And but these goals would be part of that. Would be a support for that. And that'll be a whole new day for NorthStar. I hope we can get ready, if we can pull it off. It's scary because like all these middle schools, but but they're happy with anything I do. So if I say I've only got the funding and the people to do 4 schools, then we'll do 4 schools. So it's not like I've committed to all 14 schools. I would love to, but anyway, it's a goal, and it's a big expansion no matter what we do. But there's fluidity in it, so that it can hopefully not overstretch. But anyway, so that's a new thing. A couple years ago, we started a partnership with a group called Holy Rosary. It's Holy Rosary Soccer. It's a program of Holy Rosary Catholic Church. It's a little tiny Catholic church in Gate City, which is about 5 minutes that way. And they are right across the street from a public housing community, and they're servicing that community. And it's the same community, same public housing community that Oak Tree Ministry is working with, which you know all about. And that's going to come up right here. So I think, let me check my time again. I don't want to. Okay, I'm still okay. All right. So we've been doing a partnership with them. It started with, they got this little tiny program. They're not trying to grow and reach more kids and be across the city like I am. NorthStar. So it was a perfect partnership. because we can give them something that they could really use, and their participation benefits us, and they're already got their hands on some of those hardest to reach kids, and I mean, they got some tough ones, and so it's great. It's great. So the guy there that runs that program, he knows all about field maintenance, and he's part of the reason why this field is not perfect. It's still got all these clues in it, but looks as good and it's come along as far as it has, because twice a year we work together, rent some equipment, get sand that's donated, come out here, sand the field, do other stuff, aerate it, and we do both fields together, kind of jointly. And then he'll have a U8 and a U10 team typically, and they'll just be part of our intramural league. So that gives us more teams, some more variety for our little league. And then he'll have older team usually, which is a hodgepodge of ages. He's got a U14 team that has, this season has U10 through U14, boys and girls, it's crazy, they get clobbered. But anyway, but they're playing soccer. And I'm trying to move towards nudging that in a little different direction, proposing plans. So it started with this last fall. 3 of the girls in this picture are Holy Rosary girls. The girl here I'll talk about, that's Tenoria in the different uniform. She had one of these. She just didn't manage to get it, but get it on her body. But 3 girls that we pulled in to form this team just for the tournament. I didn't have enough girls to make a team during the season, but parents started asking me, it's too late. Well, yeah, but. So we formed this team and practiced a few weeks and entered this tournament, and could have gotten second place, but that's another story. I'll talk about that. I learned a lot about the importance of team development, team spirit. It wasn't a new idea, but I really learned it, if you get what I mean, as opposed to just soccer skill. Yeah, so we could have gotten second place, but we self-destructed. I actually wrote that story out on my personal blog, but it was crazy. But anyway, but this girl is the only girl, this Holy Rosary girl is the only girl that scored goals for us in that event. She's a phenomenal athlete, really. And on the flip side, I'll just mention quickly these 2 girls. So this girl is Holy Rosary. They have just a handful of kids. He works with them, I don't know, weird ways to me sometimes, but the level of soccer play is coming out of what he's doing with these kids is amazing. And this girl right here is in Frederica's spot on the field, and is as good as she was back then, and maybe better, and is as well behaved as a girl who grew up in the city you could possibly imagine to be. And actually, now we have to go all the way out to Center Point to get her, because her mom moved out of the public housing and is in a little apartment out by Jeff State in Center Point, and have to get her on weekends because mom's at work, and like, yeah, but you deserve it. So we'll support that. It's hard because it's a long way. Sometimes Harry from Holy Rosary does it. Sometimes my driver that I have do it, who's a mom that I give a little small employment to do some driving for me, or sometimes I'm doing it. But you know, when you find someone, a family like that who's working really hard, and a girl who's got this potential, you want to support that. So we do. This is actually her sister. Amazing as it is to me to think about, because it's the opposite. So this girl I've got her out here on Saturdays with the little kids being a referee. I am working with Holy Rosary, and I've also talked about her to Oak Tree as well. On the opposite end, hey, how can we work together to maximize opportunities for this girl to develop her leadership potential? So anyway, it's amazing. But all right, so that covers all those. The last page is just a little bit of pictures, and I'm going to let Annette say something about this. These are some different, the top ones are college students. This is another picture of my girl Sarah from a few years back. This girl in the back was a big volunteer for a while, helped her and helped me with those girls. She's now a medical student, so at UAB. I don't get her as a volunteer, but maybe one day. And then, oh, you know some of these people. Here's some Briarwood girls involved here on some periodic basis, and that. I want to share this because, so, you're not gonna let her talk. So, we have brought in them on Saturdays to be referees. Now I got Akiria and Janaya, my other little girl I highlighted. And I don't have very many games either, so it's less to handle. But I got them being referees. Well, I don't want these girls refereeing if these girls can do it, right? But there's something else I can have. I want these girls to have the opportunity to experience volunteering and gain from that. They can contribute. They also learn and grow. Maybe you'll testify to that. And I want that too. That's a little bit of how we operate that, but it's exciting to not need them on that level, and in the future we'll put them in some new spots, some skill training for sure, which is what they were doing here. But do you want to share anything about the experience on that?
Can I stay here? Okay, so I have a daughter who's a senior this year, goes fast, and she started volunteering with Paul in 9th grade. And I think it was a combination between Briarwood Soccer Club and Briarwood High School. And so she started, originally, we got Coach Ryan live to help the high school team, give the girls some opportunity to volunteer. And so he had them all sign up for different Saturdays to come down and referee. So that was kind of the beginning of the exposure for her to NorthStar. And then her and a couple of her girlfriends that have been playing club their whole lives, they talked with Paul, and he had a position for them to come and do some skill training and with smaller groups of girls. And then with that, they ended always with a devotion, which was really a sweet time with the girls because they'd get all their energy out and then they could actually sit down and listen for a few minutes. But they started that, I think, probably in 10th grade, and they've been doing that ever since their senior year. And so I asked Anna this morning, I said, what have you enjoyed the most? And she goes, well, as much as I've been able to go, she said, just seeing them grow. She's like, seeing them get better, having them share with us during the devotion times. I think, that it's nice for them because they've always been the kids, and then all of a sudden they're realizing we can be a role model, and we can encourage other girls and share their faith, which is hard, for teenagers, but to be able to get comfortable talking about their relationship with Christ and what that means to them. And we just had our last team party last night for her of her high school career, or Tuesday night, and it was just a sweet time seeing all the players, and I was like, this is what it's about. It's about the friendships, it's about trusting each other, building each other up, and it's been a great career for Anna, and that's exactly what we want for these kids, is to have those experiences. And without Paul and all the volunteers being down here trying to reach these children, it wouldn't happen. I mean, like he said, a lot of them wouldn't have never touched a soccer ball, and that's just one sport, but it's a great one. And I just, for my prayer for her and all these other girls as they're coming up, like these are some sophomores now. I'm hoping now that they can drive, they can come down and start doing some training. And Anna's going to Sanford, so I'm really hoping she can get some Sanford girls that play soccer to come and help him in the springs or whatever he needs, and let them get exposed to being able to coach and train. But my prayer is that, she can see how something like a sport, something she's invested her time in, can be used for God's glory and can be used the rest of her life, and not just, for high school. So that's really been her experience, and she's really enjoyed it. And I know the other girls that have participated have too, and hope we can continue to do it.
Thank you. And I forgot one other thing I was going to share, and then questions. So you saw me setting up. I ran out of time, but I was intending to have my little lights and have them set up, these little PVC things on the ground. Those raise up, and I lash them to the fence, and I have these dual light things that go on there, and they provide pretty good lighting out to about that, maybe that yellow line. So, and then there's a light there that provides a tiny bit there. That one in that corner is pretty good. So, like this corner, we practice out here with it. And as I tell people, I might have told y'all when I was there at your meeting that the lighting and I have other little lights, and it takes me about an hour to set it all up, and I have the generator out, sometimes more, depending on how many I put out. And it's not lighted. It's not a lighted field. It's a not too dark field at that point. For more than half of the fall, and so like the littlest ones, they start at 5:30 and 6:30. They're affected less, and the older teams are affected more. And as we have 2 locations that are leading lights, I don't have enough to do it. So that's where the lights would come in. With our existing program, they would also come in for the 6th grade program that I've mentioned. Those games would be late afternoon, evening during the week, but they'll be in February and March. And yeah, the school system has offered to let us go to their facilities that would be lit, and that's an option. But I don't know, I haven't figured out, I'll ask, but I haven't figured out how that works with fields, because those are lined for high school games, and it's not what I'm planning to put out there. I'm planning it to be 77, this field right here, this yellow field. So, I think it's probably going to be better to be able to have games here and at Legion Field, and be able to light those enough for those little kids. And the light towers that are in the budget, one of those, well, first of all, it'll be taller than these things, at least twice as tall. Secondly, it will give out, the amount of light it will give out is more than twice of what all of my little lights. That's one. So if I have, the idea is that I could have adequate lighting in more than one field, but if I really needed good lighting for game situation, bring them all 4 to one place, and they're portable, bring them all 4 to one place. We should be a lit field at that point. Not as high up as is ideal, but good light. Anyway, so the light, I just wanted to connect with the grant itself. So that's about the lights. I've mentioned about the portable goals, and that is the exact goal that I want. I got 2 of them because I really, really needed them now, but we'll get more based on the grant to use at the different schools. And then there's the van. We keep it, but it's up there, and I used to have 2, and we used to. We're on 2 different sides of town. So that's where it touches on the grant, and all of that would help us. If the 6th grade program didn't exist, if we didn't do it, we can still really use that for what we're currently doing, and it will really provide a platform for the new thing that I'm trying to launch next February. All right, now questions. You got any? Yes, ma'am?
How do you intentionally disciple? How do you work that into the program? Or is it more just?
It's not as well as I would like. It's continually trying to improve, but there's 2 main connection points. One is devotional for coaches to use during practice. That's really brief. The second is skill training and mentoring. So like some of these Sanford girls that I've had helping me, I had this one girl, she's not featured here, but Olivia, I hope I get her back. Actually, I hope I get her back permanently, but I probably won't. But she was intense with the girls and would develop her own little study. I nudged her a little bit, but she was a religion major. You could do. And so sometimes it goes really deep and really well. Sometimes for some kids it's just the team devotionals, And then like with the Annette and those girls coming out for skill time, but we'll have devotional there as well. Try to. But a lot of it is relational mentoring. It depends on the who I've got and their readiness to disciple through mentoring relationships. So all of those points, though. Another question.
Who actually owns the fields themselves?
This field is owned by Cornerstone School, which is why I mentioned them as key in partnership. They purchased this thinking they were going to expand, build buildings here. Instead, they bought property in Center Point and expanded out there. And then we were approached about using it as bringing our soccer program. I was hesitant at first, but we did. The field by Legion Field, that's City Park Board, Birmingham City Park Board. And then Hemp Hill, I think the city owns it too, but they seem to think that the school board owns it. It doesn't matter, one of them owns it. So we don't own any. We also rent a little house that somebody sold. It's very low rent, it's basic storage, and if I need it, it's office. And then we own that van, and we own these soccer goals, and that's about it. Next question. Yes.
So, when our kids had soccer games, parents were always there on the sidelines. Are your parents able to support them, be there, or even are they the ones paying for cleats and shin guards and uniforms? And how does that
That's a
all work?
great question. So, from the wife of a former board member. So it varies. So Princeton kids, those parents are here. And those parents, with a few exceptions, are getting all their stuff. The cleats that you turn down, surprisingly. So these are available for kids. We do equipment drives like that. Briarwood recently got me somehow a whole couple boxes of new ones, which is really exciting because sometimes these look all right and kids get out there and boom, they fall apart. But so I supply them to those that need them, and I go out and purchase shin guards. And sometimes we've had donations there too. But so I got the West End boys that having to pick up to get over to Legion Field. They need everything, and they don't have a parent at a game except for Roger. And Holy Rosary kids, once in a while, like Maisha's mom, if she's off, would show up for a game. But most of those don't have a parent at a game either. But these kids, almost all of them, will have a parent here. So there's a range of demographics and there's a range of situations that we're dealing with. It's not all the hardest to reach, lowest. We want those, but it's really nice that we have a little bit higher on the scale who are exactly what you would expect normal. And as is the case everywhere on all socioeconomic levels, I also have to work with some of those parents on. Sometimes I wish some of them weren't there, but anyway, that's another issue. But that is what this page is trying to get at. By the way, if you can look at it on your own. But it's a new thing this season. In the past, I've given this rule book, the whole thing, and here's all of what I want. And guess how many people read that? All right. So my new thing that I'm brand new this season is here's the whole weekend game schedule in case you get confused on what I already sent you with just your team. Because some of you have, one mom said, oh, this is great because I got these, but I can't keep track because I got different kids. So I'm doing that for them. And then, here's your tip. Here's your soccer tip of the week. And I took off from this one. I had it a little more strongly in previous ones about sideline behavior. But so we're addressing all of that and trying to do it in a way that it can be heard and actually listened to. And because one of the things I told them, I don't know, maybe you need this too, but is, hey, think of practice as like being in a classroom. Think of the soccer game. I didn't make this up, by the way. think of the soccer game as being like their test time. They need to take their tests on their own, right? So, anyway, so you can encourage them for getting it right and doing well, but maybe we should let them figure it out. So, good question. Did I answer it all? Oh, good.
So you are having some like residual impact on families, not just the students. It sounds like.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah. Come to the celebration. You'll see.
Yeah, yeah.
The NorthStar celebration.
Yeah, it's arranged as you would expect. It's relational, so the teams that I'm directly coaching, and I showed you these girls that I've coached for years, and I know those parents pretty well. Some of them have, it's not saying much, but some of them, two-parent family, and they make as much or more than me and my wife. But then there's Shania's family that, well, doesn't. I mean, it's, and there's some that I've dealt with for years that are on the other end, and so I could give them all their names, but there's a range even on that little team, and then that flows out everywhere. But yeah, I need more. So you didn't ask this, but like for the fall, I'm really praying for, working towards funding. I need, and they can't all be volunteers. I need volunteers. I need some, for these higher level teams, I need staff that I can hire, and I can get them, and they won't go somewhere else to coach soccer. Because of what I'm trying to do this coming fall. And so before I have a second full-time staff again, which I used to have, I need maybe to hire a bunch of people, because all our stuff takes place all at the same time. So one person would only help me a little bit. I need to hire a bunch of people. But then after that, I really do need a second staff person, because all of us just overwork, and so I'm praying that we can get there, but and we could, like, the things I'm nervous about the 6th grade program, raise enough money to hire all these. Even if I did it and could hire all these coaches that we need for that program, I would still have to manage all that. So that's where to really develop it, I really need a second staff to be program, because I do everything. I'm an administrative person, fundraiser with some great help, and program director. So
Are you the only salaried employee at
at this point, we had some in the past, and they did individual support raising. And when they left, I had no funding and no ability to. I depended on finding another one willing to do that, and that hasn't always been so easy. So right now, I am there's a few people that are paid a little bit, but I'm the only salaried full-time employee. Other questions? It's almost time for you to go.
This has been such an incredible morning. My favorite thing about the morning is seeing the expression on the children's faces in these pictures and in your large pictures over there, because you can't. That's just natural.
Yeah.
You don't coax them into that. That's when they're running and playing
Right.
and feeling safe here
Right.
and valued here. That comes across in their faces.
That
And
was
that's been my favorite thing.
That was a quote from one girl in a little video we had. I didn't think I could have the capacity to show a video, but she said something. She's kind of talking me down, but I actually wasn't totally pleased. But she was talking about how it was a safe place for other kids, is what she meant. But her point within that was right. It was good. And it is that. And even you get this girl, the Nori that I was showing about, the Holy Rosary. You think that that's she needs it too. She just doesn't know it. But it's very much what she needs. She wouldn't verbalize that. And she doesn't always know that we've connected. She's not always happy with me. And she said, when I was, this incident that was so terrible, I pretty much knew who it was, but I had to officially go through and find out who it was. So we had a little team meeting to do this. And I'm going through talking about it. We start by talking about NorthStar values, and then I describe what happened. She wouldn't acknowledge it at first. Finally, she did. She admitted she did it, as I described to the coach and the team. I got a confession. I wouldn't say there was remorse, but I got a confession. But afterwards, and she's of course upset. She said, "You just don't want me on the team." No, sweetheart, that is definitely not true. And I went through and talked to her about what a tremendous player she is, which of course isn't the reason why on the team, but it's what she can connect to. And I want you here. And this, in fact, and I gave the example of Frederica. Always talk about Frederica. You can go this route maybe, but you're not going to make it with this. But you got the ability, and that's what I want for you. So I do want you on this team. I don't know if you've heard me, but we'll see. We'll get it back.
We are excited for NorthStar and all that they're doing. We'd love to close our time in prayer for y'all,
Yes,
your ministry, for
Thank you.
all the many, many children that are going to run on this field. And y'all love hearing the children's voices on the playground.
That's
and
fun,
that's what
isn't
you're getting here today.
I'm out here some days lining these fields or cutting the grass or doing something, and I get kids yelling out, "Coach Ball, Coach Ball."
We know there are lots of those same cheers and laughters on this field as well.
Absolutely.
It's thrilling to be here knowing that you're providing a place for that. And we're excited to see what God has in store for y'all. And so, Sean, will you close us in prayer?
Father, thank you so much for this beautiful day. Thank you so much for this incredible ministry. And Father, we are just moved to see the commitment that we are just witnessing right now, just how you have used this ministry in so many kids' lives. God, we do just, our hearts are moved towards those that are, the kids that are struggling, Lord. And God, we just pray, Lord, that you would meet them right where they are. Lord, so much need and so much help, Lord, that is needed. So God, we look to you. You are the provider. And Lord, we do just pray right now that, and we believe this, that whether it's through 100 Shares Birmingham or whether it's through some other source, Lord, that you would meet the need that is been asked of NorthStar Ministries, Lord, and God, that you would bless them. And so, Lord, thank you so much for this time. Lord, we just pray your divine protection over this field and the other fields that they use, Lord, and use it for your glory and for your kingdom. Continue to do so. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Oh, and in addition to that, we have 2 other board members I forgot to introduce. I'm so sorry. So if you, as you go, if you want to ask any questions, Kim and Kevin, and thank y'all for being here also. So,
President.
oh yeah, Current president. Kim is our secretary, and that's the fundraising committee. All right.
Thank you so much.